Is your mood affected by the seasons? Do you just feel like garbage come wintertime? Well, you're in luck because today's episode, we're going to be talking about Watch Out for November. This is the Existential Stoic podcast. I'm Randy. That's Danny. What's going on, Danny?
What's up, Randy? I was just thinking, it's funny. Like I know my mood's affected by the seasons, but I always think it won't be every
I
year.
know. Yep. And especially because like towards the end of the summer, summer was nice. You get into the routine, school starts, all everything, life goes back to normal, and you're riding this high, and then all of a sudden November comes and just
Yeah,
smacks you every single year.
I don't know what
And
it is about it either. Like, I don't know if it's the holidays or if it's like that in conjunction with the fact that like after those holidays, there's like not much. Like you get this gap, I feel like, from New Year's to really like I don't know, like summer basically. Like there's not much that happens.
yep, pretty much. Yeah, and there's not much sunlight. It's cold, it's miserable. Yeah, the whole thing. So,
Yeah,
and I
depending on
was
where you
thinking
live,
about
the
it
weather
today
is pretty
because
bad. Yeah.
I was feeling pretty good today, and I was like, huh,
This
I
can't
wonder when
last.
November is. Yeah, I know. I was like, I wonder when November is, and I looked, and I was like, oh my goodness, that's in a couple months. I better about it, and maybe some ideas for how to have a better November and onward this year as opposed to previous years.
That's a good idea because I've been trying to do that every year, and I feel like I get some moderate improvement and trying to make it better. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you would
Well,
say, well,
knowing is half the battle.
it is. Actually being aware of it is half the battle, acknowledging it. I do find that helps a lot. Like just acknowledging things, realizing that it's happening and admitting it is like a huge win by itself.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've been doing that a lot with like motions and stuff, and like I feel like it does help you like kind of be aware of it at least, and then you can start working on it from there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I was actually thinking earlier when I was thinking about this, since we know that November, December, January is coming, it's helpful to have a positive routine when coming up to those months because those are going to be difficult times. And so having a positive routine is helpful for getting through it. But if you wait until things get bad to start the routine, it's really, really difficult. So now you have like 2 months head start to really like nail down that routine, figure out, even if it's just, one 5-minute activity a day, but just doing it consistently every single day, that really does help build up some momentum. So that way, when things start falling apart, you still
Yeah.
have your one routine every day, and you're like, you know what? Nothing else went well today, but I still did this.
Well, that's the other funny thing is, and I don't know if that's like I do wonder how much that's a bigger part of anything than any of the other stuff I do. Like, because I feel like my routines have gotten a lot more solidified and better. So when things happen, it's like you already know what you're doing today. So it's like you can weather the storms a bit better. It's like Aristotle and Plato thought this, right? Like one of the reasons to become virtuous is that you get this like inner balance within your soul. So you're better off weathering storms, like ups and downs of life, right? Like because no matter
Mm.
how good a person you are, bad things are going to happen, right? People are going to die. Things are going to you can't
Unfortunately.
control it, right? But how you respond to that is something that you can control. And I think that was one of their views is that being virtuous meant that you have this stronger character, so you can weather these ups and downs much better. And I think you do
Mm.
notice that. So I do wonder because like I feel like we've both been working on our routines like a lot, and like if that will just if that's enough, or like we'll need to do more. You never know, But like I think it will make it easier a little bit,
Yeah.
hopefully.
And it's actually been the routines have been a challenge for me because it's also like I've had to work on pruning mine because it just like builds.
Oh
It
God,
started
yeah.
with one thing. It started with one thing that I would do, and then it's just like Dennis ends up taking a half an hour in the morning, and so long at night. And I'm like, this is way too long. I can't do this every single day. So it's been an effort of trying to figure out what's most impactful. And also, another thing that I've been doing was like I got suckered into this whole like grind mentality, like no days off type of thing. So for the longest time, I was doing stuff 7 days a week because I was like, if I miss a day of it, it'll just my whole life will fall apart. And recently have just been taking weekends off of my routine and just like I wake up and play video games. And
Yeah,
it's like the coolest thing ever because
but
you
you
don't have
can't.
to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, there's no reason to do it. Like, yeah, I've been trying to do that more too. It's hard because like I feel like a lot of times it gets too. It's like sometimes like it's stuff I want to do, so I'll just do it anyway. And it's not. I don't. In those cases, I don't view it as much like work. It's more like a chance to just sit down and just mess with something or learn something. You know what I mean? And that's fine. But yeah, I think that's a good idea. Like there is no reason. I think we rush too much, and that rushing invariably makes us depressed because things are not going to happen as fast as it, I mean, come on, like everybody, if you're honest with yourself, everybody wants the thing to happen now. No one starts something and they're like, so in 5 years, like it's like you expect it to happen like literally in a week, and it's like not going to. So I think
Uh-huh.
trying to temper that too is helpful, and just realizing and taking slowing down in general is good.
Yeah, it is the mentality. There's someone that I that I talk to pretty regularly, and he was saying we should start a podcast, and I was like, oh goodness, and he's like, but we but the next words out of his mouth were like, but we don't have like the microphone and the setup and all that stuff, and I was like, yeah, but we don't have an audience either. Just record on a phone, like
You don't need all of that, dude, not to
yeah,
start out. Like that's yeah, it's ridiculous. But
uh-huh.
that's what's funny though, it's like I think sometimes too, it is just like it's fun to do that part of stuff too, like to get all the stuff and set it up. And I think there is like an excitement there. I don't know. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, spending money scratches that itch.
I think taking days off though is a really good one. Like, because people got, I think well, it's easy to get caught in the grind thing, right? Because like, even if you have a regular job, most jobs demand so much from you, and it's hard to like navigate that work-life balance. And then you still have stuff to do. You got to do laundry, you got to take care of kids, you got to do all the daily crap at home. And I think it's hard to find time for yourself. So I think taking days off and scheduling time off is like a good one to help.
Yeah. And also, since the the winter time of year is the time when everybody gets seasonally depressed, I mean, maybe it is due to the thoughts going on in their head. Like the cognitive behavioral therapy model says that it's just there's some thought that's causing the depression. So like maybe learning about that stuff, like there's an excellent book called Feeling Great by David Burns,
It is quite good,
Dr. David
actually. I
Burns.
started reading this, and it's very
You
good. Yeah, yeah,
did.
yeah.
Dude, it's spectacular. Like mind blowing. I wish I would have read that book so long ago.
Isn't it? I
But yeah,
wonder
it's
how much stuff.
insane.
Well, like I wonder, like when we were saying before, like I wonder how much stuff, like in like 100 years, when we're gonna look back and be like, they were so primitive with their medical practices and their. Because really, think about it. Like we forget that mental health is like new. Like it literally just started in like the 60s, like the 40s,
Yeah.
50s, and 60s that they started
And they
doing.
don't measure anything.
No,
They just wave a magic wand
yeah,
and do everything behind closed doors. Yeah.
it is funny, yeah, because it's like, and I think we don't realize that. So I think, yeah, we're gonna be surprised, I think, to see how the world changes over time with that stuff.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think slowing down is good. I think, yeah, being aware of it, starting to do some research is a good idea on these things to be aware of them. Because I think that gives you some ammunition too of how to help it. Or also just to,
Hmm.
I know you recommended this before and I know you've done it. I haven't, but like I know like some people do swear by like the lights too, those
Oh yeah.
what are they,
I definitely
UV?
did that. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you find that helpful?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it could be psychosomatic or something else,
Yeah, but
but
who
I
cares?
would, yeah,
It works.
I would just wake up because you're not getting light from anywhere else during the winter. I mean, you get
No.
like it's light outside for 8 hours a day and you're working inside during that whole day. You don't get to see any of it. So like I would just wake up and pop on the light and then read a book or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I think kills me in that time of year is like the hours shorter, but they feel shorter too. Like, cause like you get up and like normally when I would like, say take the dog for like the evening walk, like in the summertime it's bright and sunny. Like it's still, cause we don't go that late. We go like usually between like 5 and 6. But then you get to
Mhm.
like December, January, February, and like it's dark at 4:30, and it's like you feel it. I think the day just seems already over, but really it's not. And
Mhm.
I think also being aware of how that those tricks we do in our head with like time and
Yeah.
perception and all can
Oh
help you
yeah.
kind of also recognize that and step back from it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And preparing yourself to just feel terrible. because
Yeah.
like this is probably one of the first years where I've recognized before November that November is coming, and so, that winter is coming,
Winter's
and
coming.
yeah, and it always gets me where I'll just be on this streak of a whole bunch of days where I just feel like actually feel physically terrible. And it's just really uncomfortable. And it's just like, what's wrong with my life? And it's like, nothing. It's just, I feel bad. And then I
Yeah.
make up thoughts that may probably make me feel worse. So, like, actually just preparing yourself that you're going to feel bad and then just being like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to feel bad for however long I need to feel bad for.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I've been trying to do that a lot more recently, which is just recognize like there's nothing wrong in, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
even though like things feel wrong or I feel bad, like I know there's nothing necessarily wrong. And so just reminding yourself that can be so helpful because it's like just it's just that like not letting your imagination take over and
Hmm.
lead you down this path of like everything's horrible. Nothing's gonna
Yeah.
work, and it's like you get into this just snowball effect, and it's
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah, I learned this technique the other day for like when you're feeling anxious about stuff that you're, going down a rabbit hole about that usually almost invariably never happens.
Yeah.
But you just say to yourself, that's make believe, and then you touch something and be like, this is real.
This is this is
I've
reality.
been doing that a whole bunch recently because like I go down these whole like, you know, things like 10, 5, 10, 20 years in the future and just like catastrophizing about it. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's make believe. This
You know
right
what
here
though?
is
We all
real.
do. And I think I was thinking about this the other day, maybe I'm wrong, but I think when that happens too, part of it is that expectation that we want things to happen now, right? Coupled with the fact of like we're not good at predicting the future like long term.
Not at
Like
all.
right in the next moment, yes. Long term, terrible. So it's like when we're not seeing our results now, and then we're like, can I keep doing this in 5 and 10 years? We're imagining now to just be basically the same thing for that next 5 to 10 years. But that's not going to happen because there's going to be progression, right? Things are going to
But we
change. And
we also do it the opposite way. Like when we buy stuff or there are things that we need, we we know the instantaneous like will feel good immediately, but we can't see the year, 5 years, 10 years in the future what the impact will be like. Those things that we really, really want to buy, yeah,
yeah,
it feels great that moment, but then days, weeks, months later, you're just back to the baseline. You've forgotten how cool it was.
yeah. And that is funny too. I think that's also like a big one is I noticed like a huge when you stop like engaging in consumerism as much, you notice a huge change, I think, in yourself. Because I stopped, like, because I used to do that, like every other good, good American, right? Like, you
Yeah,
feel bad, you go out, you buy stuff and all, and I just stopped
exactly.
doing that, and like I noticed, like, you feel so much better in relation to stuff because most of the stuff you have is stuff you really want because you then end up talking yourself out of stuff all the time instead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's
And
like
there's
it is
so
a lot
much,
better.
yeah. And it's like there's so much junk nowadays that like half the time you buy something is just disappointing anyways.
I know, I know, and it's like 90% of it is. It's just junk. It is. There's nothing good, but.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think too, I would also say like I know, and this is hard, this is a tough one because I think meditation can be very helpful too in this transition. But I wouldn't recommend if you started now, that would be good. But if you're new to it, I wouldn't recommend starting like in November. I think that's gonna just be more aggravating than helpful. Like it's
Yeah,
best
that
to
would be
start that like
that
in the
would be a
summer.
good thing to start like 5 minutes a day now.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
you thought that meditation was the answer for you and you wanted to do that, 5 minutes a day. Because there's that thing that we talk about where if you do something 5 minutes a day, it's better
yeah,
than doing it for 3 hours one time a week. And so that's a lot of time that you save doing it, but also you get in the routine of doing it. And yeah, 5 minutes a day isn't that hard. I
no,
mean, when you're sitting there meditating for that 5 minutes is hard, but
can be. But even if you just took 5 or 10 minutes a day just to sit down by yourself somewhere quiet, and that was it. That I think would be beneficial. Just to have time to be like to yourself, even bored, you know? I think I totally almost miss that feeling. Like, you remember being younger and just being like, there's nothing to do.
oh, dude, on
Like,
a rainy day, those are the worst.
but like that doesn't
Couldn't go
happen,
outside.
It's
Yeah.
like You don't get that
Uh-huh.
experience anymore, just being like having to think of something. And that's when you usually imagine like crazy games and stuff because you just had to try something, it's like
Hmm.
anything. Or just take a
Yeah.
break. Yeah,
Yeah. Our brains are atrophying.
I know, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that was pretty much all for
Okay.
getting ready for November. It's coming up.
Be
Winter is
aware of it.
coming.
Yeah,
Be
because that
prepared.
helps.
And yeah, that's your warning. So, anyways, if you enjoyed that, we've got plenty of other episodes you can listen to as well. And you can find them wherever you get your podcasts. You can watch on YouTube. Anyways, this is the Existential Stoic Podcast. I'm Randy. That's Danny. I'll see you later, Danny.
Later, Randy.